how can we improve our conversion rate through our website design? So this might be something more if you're trying to get sales versus just trying to get people to the site. What are some things that you've noticed with obviously probably a lot more of the Shopify accounts? I haven't dealt with a lot of those.
Yeah.
But what are some things that have, as far as design, that can help with conversions?
I mean, the first thing I like to talk about when we're talking about website design is what we refer to as user experience. I mean, looking at your website from a standpoint, when somebody arrives, is there a very logical way that they can navigate through the website? Do they have to try to figure out which pages to go to, or does the website naturally take them so it sort of leads them down a path? So if your website doesn't do that, somebody doesn't want to struggle with your website to figure out where to get the information they want. You ideally want to have a very clear path, and you want to give people a couple paths. Some people really like to use the menu structure to navigate, and other people like to look at your website and they much more visually, like they would rather click on a tactile picture for a particular service or something like that. So you really have to give people a couple of options because not everybody's the same. And you have to give them a logical way to navigate your website. And then you have to lead them down a path you're trying to get them to do. If you want somebody to fill out a contact form so that you can contact them about giving them a free quote or whatever, provide them multiple stops along the path, along the journey, that the minute they decide, all right, I want to get more information from these people, that there's a readily clickable button or area that they can go to fill that information out. You don't want somebody to get to a point where they're like, okay, I've read enough. I'm interested. Now I got to figure out where I have to go to fill out a form to get that information. So you want to basically have the path or the journey, if you will, through the website be very logical and lead people down a path. And then the minute all along that way, give them options to then convert, whatever convert means. Could be a buy now button. If it's a website where you're trying to sell anything, the minute they've read enough and they decided to buy, there should be a buy now button or something like that to where they could click over and go into the actual shopping end of it. If it's a filled out contact form, it should be, buttons that lead you to that, or contact forms on the left or the bottom of each page so they can easily basically get to that. So lead them down a path and give them plenty of opportunities to convert the way you want them to convert along the way. You cannot make it hard for them to do it. You can't make it hard for them to navigate. And if they're ready to convert, you can't make it hard for them to figure out how to convert. I'm trying to make it really simple, but those are two really good keys to think about when you're thinking about website design. Is it confusing of how to get where you need to go? And then once they've made that decision, do they have to click over to another page to convert, or do you make it really easy for them to start that conversion process the minute they make the decision that they want to convert?
No, yeah, that's when I first started off, that was kind of the trouble I kept coming into, was I wasn't providing a proper path when I would build these sites. And sometimes you end up in a dead end, and all of a sudden the person's there and they have nowhere to go. They have no back button. It's trying to make sure that you have a way to get people to where they want to go. Like you said, once you kind of go down certain things and like, okay, I agree with this. Now I'm interested. Where do I go? And that's kind of one of those things where if you don't have the buttons or just the links to different spots throughout your website, or just in general, like the header and footer that would have everything that's kind of there and it's on every page. And that was kind of one of the things I ended up not having all the way set up, was they'd get to a spot and then the bounce rate would be high because there was nowhere for them to go. Yep. And so that's, if you're building it yourself, I think that's kind of one of those really great tips, because a lot of people, whether they don't want to have somebody build it and they're just like, I'm going to try to figure this out myself, yep, which was me. You kind of have to figure out these little things along the way, and we're here to help if that's something that kind of comes across. But yeah, it's having a path and being able to continue the path and split off in different directions and not just be stuck in a dead end or a cul-de-sac, as far as in my head.
And not just one thing. It's not, let's say you've got a page that's got a lot of information. It's a long page. It's not just one button or whatever. Give people a variety of ways. Again, just like I said, some people like to navigate with a menu, and some people like to navigate with clicking on tactile panels or something like that on a website. So give people even some options there. Like maybe you have, like, if you're trying to drive, if your conversion is requesting a quote, maybe you have a floating request a quote button in the header that's there all the time. But then maybe down in the information, occasionally you have request a free quote button in there as well. So a lot of people might be like, why do I need that there? I have it up in the header. Well, some people not everybody's the same. So you got to look at it. You've got to orient the information the way people want to consume it. It's not about you. It's about the consumer's journey or the website visitor's journey. And you got to give them a couple of different paths. Again, just because your menu structure is perfect doesn't mean that not a lot of people want to go through that. So think about those two things. And again, if you notice, as you mentioned, that a lot of people are getting, visiting a page and then bouncing and not converting, it might be an indication to you that you're not giving them a good next step.